Join us now, former State Department spokesperson and host of the Morgan Ortagus Show on SiriusXM Patriot, Morgan Ortagus. Morgan, I want to go back to this Joe Biden apology to Zelenskyy. What's troubling to me as an American, seeing billions of American tax dollars going over to Ukraine, that Joe Biden's apologizing as opposed to Zelenskyy on his knees thanking America and the American taxpayers for the gift of billions of dollars. It's outrageous to me as an American.
Well, he should be apologizing for failing to deter Putin and allowing this invasion to happen in the first place. He should also apologize, Biden should, for the 2 years of the mismanagement of this war. I mean, listen, the facts are that President Trump gave lethal military aid to Ukraine. The Biden administration took that away and they said, oh, we'll give you more aid if Putin invades. That makes no sense. And then he slow-walked everything that the Ukrainians needed, and he effectively drug out this war. We should not be here 2 years later. We're here because Biden failed to deter Putin, and we're here because he slow-walked the aid and drug out the war for 2 years. So if anything, the countless, the thousands of Ukrainians that have perished because of this war, I don't know what he's doing a victory lap over. This deterrence failure led to the worst war on European soil since World War II. There's nothing that this administration should be proud of. They should have kept Trump policy in place, which was, again, providing that lethal military aid to the Ukrainians in order to deter Putin.
Biden should apologize to Zelenskyy for his day one energy policy, Morgan, that sent the cost of crude skyrocketing,
right.
Enriched and empowered Vladimir Putin, filled his coffers with enough money to invade Ukraine. That invasion would have never happened.
Absolutely.
And quite frankly, 2,000 Western sanctions have not had virtually any impact on oil exports, because Russia's selling to China and India, and liquefied natural gas, despite the permit, the permits got shut down here, which Biden lied about or was confused about to the House Speaker and said, oh, it's just a study. But that LNG has been free flowing out of Russia to Europe.
Dagan, you hit the money. You hit it right on the head. I mean, this is all about the economics. This is why, again, in the Trump administration, we sanctioned the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. This is why we were tough on Russia. For all the rhetoric of the Democratic Party, we had more sanctions and actions against Russia. Why does all of this matter? Because, as you said, here we are 2 years into this war, and the Russian ruble is trading higher than it was before the war. As you said, they're able to export not only their energy, but also precious minerals and mining. We never followed up with any sort of secondary sanctions. If the United States and Europe were serious about shutting Putin down, Dagan, you know what they would do. They would seriously take the Russian banking sector off the market. But all of this stuff has been allowed to flourish because this administration runs scared of Putin. They run scared of Xi Jinping. They run scared of the Ayatollah. They're always afraid, well, if we take the necessary hard steps that we had to take in the Trump administration, like sanctioning the pipeline, like taking out Soleimani, like standing up to Xi Jinping, they can't stand up to these dictators because they're worried about what the dictators would do. Instead, in our administration, the dictators were worried about what Trump would do.
I have to imagine Trump's going to take the Ukraine NATO membership off the table to get some kind of peace if he's the next president. We'll see what he has. He's not sharing that publicly right now, but I'm sure he's thinking about it. But I want to move on to this, Morgan, because George Clooney is loyal to Biden, but not if Biden messes with his wife. The Ocean's 11 star reportedly went full Karen mode, calling the White House to defend Amal's role in issuing ICC arrest warrants for Netanyahu. It was a move that Biden called outrageous. This is what's troubling to me, Morgan. Again, you have your big liberal donors who can bring in other liberal donors like George Clooney. And again, the White House is outraged, but George Clooney's calling, and all of a sudden they're a little bit back on their heels.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up this story, because when I read it on the Fox News app, my jaw kind of dropped because I was in Israel interviewing Prime Minister Netanyahu right after this news broke. So let's not forget what happened here. The ICC, the International Criminal Court, which is a sham organization that should not be going after Israel or the United States, they were sanctioned. We sanctioned them under Secretary Mike Pompeo in the Trump administration. They're trying to go after Israel Israel, after Bibi Netanyahu, after the defense minister Gallant. There was bipartisan sanctions that were voted on in the House this week. Both sides of the aisle said they were going to sanction the ICC for trying to go after Israel. That was Biden administration policy. That was absolutely their policy. They had communicated this to Netanyahu. They had communicated this to leading senators. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, they say they're no longer going to support those bipartisan sanctions against the ICC.
Right.
So when I interviewed Prime Minister Netanyahu in Israel, he was apoplectic. He was confused. He didn't understand why this administration reversed course. Now we understand they may have done it as a quid pro quo because George Clooney called and asked them to before he did a fundraiser.
Yeah, Clooney called and wanted to speak to the manager. Let's move to this. Liberals and the left-wing media, which we refer to as the Joqueduct because they carry water for the addled president, want everybody to calm down over the national debt. If you're going to blame anybody, don't look at Biden. In an opinion piece in the New York Times, Paul Krugman writing, quote, if stabilizing debt seems hard, that's only because given our deeply divided politics specifically right-wing politics, rather than the size of the debt, is the problem. Oh, it's a right-wing problem, of course, because $6 trillion plus in spending that sent the interest on the national debt above what we spend on defense and even Medicare. That's not on Biden's watch, Morgan.
The last time I checked, you know this better than anybody. I've been doing the business channel with you for a decade, I think now, Dagan. And we know good and well that this is entitlement spending. And quite frankly, there's a plague on both Republican and Democrats' houses for allowing this type of spending to continue. But it's not in so many ways, it's not the discretionary budget. It's refusing to deal with the entitlements. It's refusing to deal with Social Security, with Medicare, with Medicaid. These are the things that are ballooning our debt. We all know it. And then, of course, Biden comes in, and what does he do? Even though he can't probably legally, he's looking at adding to inflation by giving billions of dollars in student debt relief. Listen, we have a recruitment crisis in this country in our military. If you want free college, you don't need free college from Biden. Go enlist.
Yep. Yeah. I know somebody who's doing that. Morgan Ortagus, thank you so much. You're the best.
Thanks,
Thank
Morgan.
you.
All right.
Thanks, Dagan. You too.